I am the Scarlet Witch. Okay, alright, stop. What's up, everybody, and welcome to One Man's Opinion. And today we're talking about WandaVision, the season finale, talk about whether I liked it or not, and rate the whole thing. I'll give you my thoughts, give you a rating, and also, yes, I'm going to wear this the whole time. I spent like 20 minutes making this goofy thing. It turned out actually not terrible. And I know what you're thinking. That looks horrible. That's like, yeah, a child could have done better. That's probably true. But actually, pretty comic book accurate. So, first let's talk about episode 9 a little bit. Episode 9 was a lot of what I thought we were going to get. I didn't expect the kids to get as involved as they did, but they got involved, and that was good. Spectrum and Quicksilver didn't really go at it. They didn't really fight, but they still kind of like butted heads. I was kind of let down because I really wanted Quicksilver to be more part of the action, and it would have been cool to like see what Monica was actually capable of. I think some missed opportunities there. As far as Vision on Vision, that was really cool. It was a really good fight. Also, ended it in a way that I didn't really expect, but I liked it. I thought that was really smart because when you have two people who are essentially like the same being fighting, how are you going to make that end without both of them just getting completely scrapped or like one of them getting like a lucky blow? There's really no good way to end that. So for the real Vision to kind of attack the new White Vision in such a cerebral manner to try to go after like his intelligence and hit him with some philosophy and get him to like overthink his programming, that was a really good tactic. Really smart move by Vision. Really well written. Good job. The witch on witch fight was also really good. A lot of good stuff. I like how even when you thought Scarlet Witch was finally getting the upper hand, the more experienced witch would just pull the rug out from under her, as it should be. Though Wanda was more powerful, Agnes has been doing this for a really long time. So it would be hard for Wanda to get the upper hand. But I thought the way that they pulled it off for Wanda to eventually win was also really smart. Having her put up the runes that she had been shown in the previous episode around her own little bubble there was a really smart way of her using the villain's monologue to defeat the villain, which is a trope that we've seen a million times. And The Incredibles made fun of it quite a bit. Okay, all right, hang on. I'm sorry. No. Yeah. Yeah, it had to come off. I'm sorry. It was like rubbing my collar and like I couldn't like turn my head right. Okay. All right. Much better. I thought it was a really smart thing that they did. So a lot of props to how the fights ended. I thought there was a lot of really, really smart decisions. And episode 9 was good. There was a lot of good heartfelt moments. We knew that the vision that we had wouldn't survive. So a lot of my predictions came true. Essentially, White Vision will become the old Vision. Having touched on episode 9 a little bit, typically when I'm doing a review, start with the negatives. This was like a special case because I wanted to catch up and talk about episode 9 a little bit. But now I want to talk about the negatives of the show as a whole. Number one, you already know, I kind of had a problem with the way they released it. I just thought it was trickled out a little too much. You can release something slow. Still think the first 3 episodes are pretty boring, like for the most part. And you can say, oh, it was setting up for the big twist. Well, not really, because the first 3 episodes, like the twist at the end of that bit, the first half was like, it's Wanda doing it. That was like the first twist. And if you've paid any attention at all, and I know I've covered this in other videos, but briefly, if you've paid any attention at all to the MCU, you already knew this was Wanda. You knew this was Wanda from the beginning. That's not a big reveal. And so a bit of wasted time and potential, I think, the first half of this season. I guess I say season. I don't know if there'll ever be a season 2. The first half of this show, this 9-episode mini-series, I guess. That's gripe number 1. Gripe number 2, a lot of gripes with episode 9. And the finale makes or breaks the show often. So that's unfortunate. Number 1, the CGI, there were moments, especially with Wanda's wall when she was kind of like expanding it and trying to open it up. A lot of that stuff, when it was like just kind of in the background, it didn't look good. It didn't look natural. Up until this point, the wall has always looked natural. Like it looked like something was kind of there. You know, it looked realistic enough. In that last episode, it looked like, I don't know, it looked like something out of like a really old video game. Like it just didn't look good. It looked very blocky, almost like 16-bit. It kind of reminded me of Pixels, that Adam Sandler movie that wasn't that great. But it wasn't It wasn't good. It didn't look good. There were a few other things, like Quicksilver not really being a part of the action and him just ended up being nobody. Look, I get it. There are people theorizing constantly on these shows on the internet. I've done it. I understand throwing a curveball and being like setting them up for like an obvious like, ooh, Easter egg, oh, Quicksilver, oh, the X-Men. And then like pulling the rug out and being like, nope, he was nobody. Kind of getting the last laugh at everyone who tries to predict and trying to figure out what's happening ahead of time. Throwing in those curveballs, it sets up for the future when they try to do something with the X-Men, because you could think maybe it's just going to be another head fake. That's not really what I had the problem with. I don't mind that he wasn't really Quicksilver or anything like that. I mind that he was just not used, like completely underused. I thought he would be a big part of this ending fight, and he really should have been, but he was nothing. He had a conversation with Monica, and then she like body slammed him and broke a necklace. Like that's how he was under her control, was like a enchanted necklace. And as soon as she broke it, that was it. That was the end of Quicksilver. So it felt like everything was leading up to this grand finale, and they had written Quicksilver in the middle of the show for that big like Quicksilver reveal. And then as they got to the finale, somebody was like, oh, didn't we write Quicksilver into this show? We don't have anything for him to do in this finale. And somebody was like, oh, we'll just have Monica just rip off his necklace, and there we go. He'll be out of the fight, and no worries. It was really like, oh, we just got to get rid of him. Like we wrote all this up and we made it up to be something, but now we just got to get him out of the way because we don't have time. We don't have time to mess with him. We've got to do Vision and Wanda stuff. Another gripe I had, and I'm trying to think of his name, the bad guy who was like the military dude who made White Vision, that guy went from like being a typical jerkish military guy to being like this cartoonish supervillain. Like, and I mean supervillain not in the way like he was a superhero villain, but I mean villain as in like he was pure evil. Like it's really weird how he went from just a guy who wanted to fix everything and perhaps had the wrong motivations and didn't know the correct way to go about doing his job. And he was just kind of like one of those guys who's like, no, we do things my way or the highway. Like those typical jerkhead military guys that you get in movies. Like he went from being that to literally squeezing the trigger on a pair of kids. So like the twins are in the road and yeah, they're causing problems for his soldier, but they didn't even hurt anybody. They just like froze them and took away their guns. And he's like, this seems like a reasonable time to shoot children in the head. And he just like kept squeezing the trigger. The crazy part is Monica runs out and takes a bullet for the kids. And like he knows Monica. I get they didn't get along, but he just keeps squeezing the trigger like he's trying to gun down his former colleague. That's insane. This man's just like, nope, I'm going to kill this woman I used to work with and these two kids because I don't like Wanda. And it's my way or the highway. And the highway means you get a bullet in the brain. Like he literally shot Monica like 7 times or something. And yeah, she absorbed the bullets and was fine. But it's the fact that he did that and not knowing until after she took the first bullet that she even had powers. And one of them got by her, like was going to shoot this child in the forehead. This is a grown man who was shooting a child in the forehead, a child who was no danger to anyone, hadn't caused any harm to anyone, literally just took guns away from people and froze them. And if that kid hadn't stopped the bullet with his little telekinetic powers, he would have murdered a child. I don't know. It's just wild to me how he went from just like a guy who saw things a little bit different and wanted to do things like his way and to just being this like crazy guy who's trying to murder people. Like, it's just a huge jump. It didn't make any sense to me what happened to his character. Again, it felt like they built all this up for this finale and then had characters that they weren't sure what they should do with them. They were just like, well, we've got this guy. He's been kind of a jerk. We should have him shoot at children. That way he just goes to prison and we'll never see him again. Sounds good. Quicksilver, we'll just have him, like, get a necklace ripped off and then he's out of the show. It just is a lot of not good closure for several characters here. I have another few issues. Another issue, and a lot of these are smaller things, but I feel the need to voice them. right at the end, Vision and Wanda are having a conversation as the bubble gets smaller and Vision's about to die. And Vision knows that there's another Vision out there with his memories. So, like, essentially just Vision. If he has Vision's memories, he's going to know about Wanda, and he will remember those emotions. He knows everything that Vision knows now. So he's essentially just a copy of Vision flying around. And Vision doesn't even tell Wanda. Like, Wanda's about to watch her kids and Vision die again, and he doesn't even say, hey, Wanda, I know you're losing me, but I'm still out there. The other Vision, I gave him my memories. He's still out there. Like, why would you not, like, if that were me and, like, I was about to die and I knew that, like, essentially another me was running around out there to comfort my wife, I wouldn't be like, hey, I'm still alive, just not in this body. I'm out there in that other body. Go find me. And, you know, eventually you guys can rebuild what we had. Why would you not at least try that? Like, he didn't even say a word to Wanda that he's essentially still alive out there. He was just like, we'll probably see each other again someday. Stands to reason. And she was like, yeah, maybe. And like, right there, why not? No. Actually, we will for sure, because another Vision, my memories, just the same guy, because I'm half computer. So literally a copy. You're fine. Vision's still there. No, you don't have the kids, but now you can make real ones. Doesn't make any sense. Also, there is coming, and it's not happened yet, but there's coming a moment where all of this is going to unravel, because the kids died. And I predicted that the kids would maybe live through it. In hindsight, maybe not my best prediction, because that would have grounded Wanda again, and they need Wanda to be this, you know, superpowered, broken sort of anti-hero now. And so not a good prediction in hindsight. The fact that they killed the kids off is a huge issue in some ways. The kids died because they could not survive outside the bubble. Same with Vision. And it said specifically that anything created by Wanda's powers, when the bubble is gone, those things will be gone. Now, we saw no trace of Monica's powers after the bubble goes. But if Monica is going to be the superhero character from the comics, she's going to have to still have those powers. She can't still have those powers. They also came from the bubble. And so if in another series or in another movie we see Spectrum show up, there's going to be a huge fallacy in logic. Unless you watched the end credits. In the end credits, Wanda's like doing magic stuff, reading that book, and she hears her children call to her. So either A, Monica has no powers and everything that was in the bubble is gone and it's gone permanent, or B, Monica will get her powers back, but also everything that was in the bubble, such as like Vision and the kids, will sort of come back in some way slowly, or maybe they're like banished to another realm or something weird. It doesn't matter, because either A, like I said, it's all gone, or B, it's all still here, and there's no impact. There's no weight to anything that happened, and that's a real bummer. One isn't really better than the other. Either A, Monica has no powers. I don't see them not having her do anything anymore. Like, she has her own end credit scene. Something else is coming for her, and I don't see her being a ground level superhero. I think she's going to get her powers back, and if she does that, Wanda's kids should come back. And that just takes every bit of sting out of everything that happened in this entire series. So a bit of a bummer there. I just don't think everything in episode 9 was tied up as nice as it should have been. You had 9 episodes, 3 of which were a crawl, a trudge to get through. It was slow and cute at first, and then just like, okay, let's do something. And you do that for 3 or 4 episodes before giving us anything. And then at the end, you have like loose ends. And no. I understand loose ends for the purpose of setting up coming movies and that kind of thing. But you literally have to just like kind of, I don't know, just not everything was tied up nicely. And it seems like it could have easily been tied up nicely. There were a lot of options to tie this up nicely. And I don't understand. So having said all that, with not the best opener and not the best ending, the rating for this miniseries suffers. Before I give my rating, let me just say a few positive things very, very quickly. This show was a fun ride. And after you got by those first few episodes, I thought there were a lot of really smart decisions. I thought the acting was incredible. I think the writing was incredible. The homages to so many different sitcoms and all of that was brilliantly done, brilliantly written, and expertly acted. It was all so good. Really good twists and turns, and just, it was a really good time. I really enjoyed watching it, and I did have a lot of fun watching the finale. I thought there were a lot of good choices, despite many that probably could have been tightened up just a little bit. Having said all that, and thinking of WandaVision start to finish as a whole product, I'm giving WandaVision an 87 overall. And I know some of you probably think that that's a little bit low. But with a slow beginning and not the best ending, as far as like just a few things that they could have done a little bit better, I think, a few loose ends that they could have tied up, and a few weird decisions with some characters that actually were a little bit interesting. It knocked off a little bit of what was an enjoyable ride. Okay, have you seen WandaVision? If so, what did you think about WandaVision? Do you think my rating was too low? Did you think it was too high? Maybe you didn't care for WandaVision that much. I would love to know what you thought. Just let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell if you do subscribe. That way you know every time I post a video. Keep an eye out, because now that WandaVision's over, I can move on to do some other things that I've been wanting to do. I have no idea what's even coming next, but I guarantee you we're going to have some fun doing it. I'm going to enjoy it. Hopefully you will too. Don't forget, if you didn't like what I had to say, you disagreed, you think this was all a hot mess of garbage and nonsense, don't get mad at it. It's just one man's opinion. Thanks.